July 22nd, 2026. Dear emotionally aware me, have you ever experienced emotional stress turn into physical exhaustion? It's as if your body is telling you it is time to slow down. Today, I could not for the life of me muster up any energy. I got up and something just felt off. So I laid in bed and I played with my phone until I was able to calm myself back down and go to sleep. I didn't wake up again until almost 11. And even then, my routines didn't feel manageable. I remember telling my husband that I didn't want to get up to shower. And he said, well, why not? Well, because I just don't feel like it. And I'm trying to break the routine. In which he reminded me that some routines are okay to have. So I got up, I took a shower, and I wandered out to my living room. I decided to have the easy thing for breakfast and made a bowl of cereal. Sat at the table, ate my cereal, went to my living room, and kind of crashed out. And by crashed out, I mean laid on my couch and didn't want to move. So my husband comes in and asks, did you eat? Yeah, I had a bowl of cereal. He says, okay, just checking on you, and goes about his own morning routine. And I'm laying there and I just have no energy. And so I'm talking to a friend and I'm pointing out how I'm awake and I moved from my bedroom to my couch, and even that took me 2 hours. 2 hours. But at least I'd gotten somewhere. So my friend suggested having breakfast. Having some protein, maybe some water. I laughed because I don't like water. I tell people I'm allergic because I don't like water. So I tell my friend, well, I already ate breakfast. Nice bowl of Captain Crunch and some whole milk. And nice try with the water, but you weren't going to get me. But then protein sounded pretty good. I can make some hard-boiled eggs and have a coffee. They say, that's a good idea. I'm proud of you. Go ahead and do it. But now I have to walk from my couch to my kitchen, which isn't that far away. But when you are in the headspace that nothing is easy, everything seems like a chore. So my husband comes back in because he's also talking about getting breakfast, and he says he's going to help me up. He helps me up. We go to the kitchen. I put on eggs to eat. And then I go back to the living room and I sit down. And I'm talking to my friend again, and they asked if I put my eggs on, and I say yes, and that I specifically left my coffee in the kitchen so that I had to get up when the eggs are ready. Because I know me. If I don't have enough of a reason to go back into the kitchen, I wouldn't do it. So my egg timer goes off, and I get up and I go peel my eggs and salt and pepper them and grab my coffee and make it back to the couch, where I sit and eat my eggs. And I'm having a conversation with my friend again. And I take a picture of my coffee and my eggs. And she points out that there's a lot of pepper on my eggs. And there was. I like pepper. But then I surprise her with information. It reminds me of my grandmother. I don't know if the memory is actually correct, but all I see in my head is my grandmother using copious amounts of peppers on her french fries. So I like pepper. And as I'm telling her this, she makes the comment of me being Midwestern. No, I'm not Midwestern. I even said, no, take that back. I'm not Midwestern. And it isn't the issue of being Midwestern. If you're Midwestern, embrace it. I refuse to give up the fact I'm a Californian from the Bay Area. That is my identity. So I quickly tell her, absolutely not. Take that back. I'm a Californian through and through. And so we get to talking about me growing up in California. And it's how we don't talk about cities in their name. We talk about area codes. I am from the 408. Boyfriend's from the 510. I went to school in the 925. 415 is a beautiful city on the water, but that's how we reference our area. 702 is Vallejo. If you know, you know. And she said that is very typical California Bay Area behavior. And then she asked me about the rival between Northern California and Southern California. Obviously, I said Northern California is the best because Southern California has a lot of implants. People not actually born there. And so she laughed at that because, again, very Californian. And then she asked me, do I say, oh, or hella? It's hella cool. It's hella cold. It's hella hot. And I'm hella Californian. So she laughed at that. And then for some reason, I just took a deep dive into growing up in California. So I was born and raised in San Jose, 408. I lived there for 16 years of my life until my parents very harshly moved me my junior year of high school to the 925, the East Bay of the North. When we got there, the city of Oakley had just become the city of Oakley, and Brentwood was still having people burn crosses on the lawn. To say that I was scared was an understatement. Also, I came from a really big city, and we were moving to this really small town. My sister and I used to joke that how could we consider it a city? They don't even have a mall. Granted, Pittsburgh had a mall, and it was about 20-ish minutes away. But could it really be considered a mall? It was only one level. The disbelief. If I can stand on one end of the mall, and you could stand on the other end of the mall, and we could still talk to each other, that's not a mall. But I remember being there, and finishing high school there. I could not wait to leave the area. Eventually, I moved on to the 510. Not Oakland, specifically Richmond. Why not Oakland? My mother had instilled in me the fear of Oakland. Now, I hear Oakland, California isn't bad. Boyfriend loves Oakland, California. But it's hard to get over the prejudice of what I was taught. So, every now and again, I get this fear of going through Oakland. But it reminded me of that too. And then it reminded me of how he and I would drive down the streets of Oakland and just talk and have the best conversations and the funniest conversations. And I would ask weird questions like, do you think I could ever be a prostitute? I've never been a prostitute. I wouldn't even know where to begin to be a prostitute. But I ask because I'm me and why not? And his answer has always been the same. No. You'd make a horrible prostitute. And of course, I'd have to ask why. Why would I be a horrible prostitute? Because some John would say something to you that would piss you off. And you would get lippy and mouthy and go back at them. And they would get enraged. And somehow, you would end up calling me from the hospital, needing me to come pick you up. Granted, he is not wrong. I do not know how to control my mouth or my facial expressions. But somehow hearing the story every time makes me smile. It's that, oh, he gets me kind of thing. He sees me. So then after that story, I started talking about where I grew up in San Jose. I lived on the Silver Creek side. I went to John J. Montgomery Elementary School that was next to Brigadoon Park with the cement slide. And if you know, you know, that's the best slide ever. But you have to have cardboard to go down it or else it's going to hurt. And then right next to the park was Silver Creek High, which is the high school I was supposed to go to. You see, that area of San Jose is a very rich area. People in that area have money, or so that's the concept. It's one of the more expensive areas. And I ended up going to school in Independence High, which was all the way across San Jose. Not so much the rich area, but I loved it. So back in California, the high schools had different academies, and I, surprise, wanted to go to the teaching academy, which was at Independence High. So that's where I transferred to school at. And when people found out that I was supposed to go to Silver Creek, they had this preconceived notion on how I must be. It also didn't help that I had one of the first rolling backpacks. And, oh my God, you must be rich if you have a rolling backpack. No. I just liked it and my mom said yes. Because I take really good care of my backpacks. I also collect backpacks. If you could see my floor right now, you'd see 4 backpacks. It's just who I am. But they had this preconceived notion of just who I was. And I always thought it was interesting because my dad's family lived in the Silver Creek area. My mom's mom lived in a very Hispanic area, and I loved every moment of it. Fresh tamales, el pollo loco, best time ever. Frescas, agua frescas. And we very often seen the ice cream truck. I made lots of friends there. Had lots of good times there. But they were so drastically different. Like the neighborhoods were not the same at all. They didn't mesh. So I kind of got the best of both worlds. I've got this really highbrow area and then this middle area where I just got to be the best of both worlds. I got to hang out with kids who thought that they deserved the world because they were born. It was a really interesting time going to middle school with them. They were very much like, oh my God, which you assume California kids are like. Not all of us are like that. Some of us are. And then you had the Independence area where kids are just really relaxed. I remember how we used to like walk across the street to go to Taco Bell. We did not have the kind of campus that you can go off for lunch. That didn't stop everybody, but then the restaurants would let you order your food, pick up your food, and then report the school that we were there. I mean, messy, but smart. And so I'm just reminiscing through all of this, and I'm smiling and I'm passionate. And my friend points out, like, this is the first time I've seen memories just kind of roll off your tongue. The way that you talk about California, the way that you talk about home, lets me know that California will always be your home. And she was right. I can't comprehend anything else being my home. California will always be home. There are occasions that I really want to move back and that I remember that I am not rich. I don't have the money to afford the nice houses out there. But it's a dream. I would love to move back home. My husband has explicitly told me no every time I've asked. But that's what today was just like. It was sitting in the memories, sitting in the emotions of everything that's happening. recently I have been working through some emotional turmoil. I have been trying to figure out how to balance the things I want with the things I need. It's not easy. And I think that was why today I was just really checked out. I got so sick to the point where I felt physically queasy, physically ill, that I had to go lay in my bed and say, I'm just done. I can't do this. And my thought process was I'd work in bed. I took all my stuff in the bedroom to work on, and I laid down and I was out. The stress of my emotions had become so overwhelming that I just couldn't physically deal with it anymore. I am really good at not processing my feelings. I will run from it. I will hide from it. I will keep myself busy. And in many ways, I've been just doing that for the last couple of months. Just focus, focus, focus. This is what you have to do. This is what you need to do. This has to get done. This is your responsibility. And while all those things are still true, taking care of myself was also my responsibility. And it was last on my list. And at some point in time, your body says, it may be last to you, but it isn't last to me. I'm going to make you stop. And it did. It made me stop. But how many times do we have to go through that? How many times do we have to have our body tell us that we have to stop versus acknowledging that we need to stop? It isn't that we don't know that we have to process things. It isn't that we don't know that life is hard. That's my dog. It isn't that we're unaware that we are drained mentally. We just ignore it. When we get sick, we'll take medicine. When we are nauseous, we find ourselves to the bathroom. But when we are mentally drained, emotionally tired, we just keep going. As if somehow it's not okay to take care of ourselves in those moments. And so my body told me today, you're wrong. You're going to take care of yourself. And I had no other options but to comply. Some days, life just catches up with you. And I think that kind of borrows to the idea that you're waiting for the other shoe to drop. You know something's going to happen, and you don't know how it's going to happen. So I knew that at some point in time, I was going to take a dive. I wasn't going to be able to sit here and put in the work to do the things that I need to do all day long, like I have been. But I refuse to acknowledge it. I refuse to think that I can't be Superwoman and get everything done and worry about the rest later. And by the rest, I mean my emotional state. I don't know why I do that. It's never been helpful. Whenever I finally take the hit, I take the hit hard. I fall hard. And yet, I know the next time I'm going to do it again. Today, I said that I would do a video post. And if you can't tell, my office is not clean. I don't like any of that back there. And as I was planning my podcast, I kept saying, oh, well, you said you'd clean it, but you didn't have to clean it. And you'd even acknowledged that if you didn't clean it, you probably wouldn't do it. And I could very well use the excuse I wasn't feeling well. I wasn't feeling well. But I feel like that's all that would be, is just an excuse. It doesn't have to be perfect in my office to sit here and talk to you. She's driving me crazy. My life doesn't have to be perfect to sit here and talk to you. That is the whole purpose of my brand, Unperfectly Perfect. If you notice, unperfect is not a word. The word is imperfect. I specifically said unperfect because at some point in time we have to accept and realize that it's our imperfections that make us perfect. It makes us who we are. It has taken me a very long time to accept some of my imperfections. But my imperfections make me the caring person that I am, the loving person that I am, the helpful person that I am. It makes me independent. It makes me dependable. It makes me strong. It gives me my superpower. So, what does it give you? How does it improve your life? My bite of pie today was that I got out of bed and I ate. I showered. And then I recognized that my body said I need to slow down. And I did. I didn't push it. I didn't argue it. I didn't fight through it. I went and laid down and took my nap. My much needed nap. Because I took my nap, I'm able to be sitting here and talking to you now. If I had ignored my body, if I would have ignored those signs some more, things would have gotten worse. So how many times do you ignore your body saying, hey, this is going to get worse before it gets better. We need to slow down. I hope that somewhere tonight you are processing your emotions, you're processing your thoughts, you're processing your mental capacity. You're recognizing that not all of it has to be carried at one time, and that it's okay to rest. It's okay to lay it down for a moment and pick it up later. Sometimes that's more important than solving it. So tonight, I want you to take the time for yourself. And that's not easy. We have responsibilities. We have things we have to do. So even if it's just 5 minutes, go somewhere by yourself and decompress for that 5 minutes. Give yourself that much needed break. And then you do what we always do. You just remember, today is another page in the story. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be written. And before you close your journal tonight, ask yourself, what was your bite of pie? Until tomorrow, love you loud.